What's up? I'm Dan Fradenburgh, and this is not a chance encounter. This
I'm here
is
today
the
with Amy Sylvis. How you
dandoesdeals.com
doing
interview
today, Amy?
series.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me on, Dan. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and just so you in the audience know what's going on, you may know me from my Chance Encounter series, where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, that's buyers, sellers, anybody involved in all that kind of stuff. And why do I do those interviews with these syndicators? It's because, well, part of it is you have to get to know everybody in your circle to find out what's going on. And when you find out that this talk of like off market deals and fun stuff like that, they're private deals and they're not allowed to talk about them until they have a substantive relationship that's documented and stuff. So I do those interviews. So if that sounds like something that we should do, then let's get that scheduled. But this is not a chance encounter. And I know Amy quite well. We've gotten to know each other quite well over the last year. It's been fantastic. How's the last year been for you, Amy?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's only been a year. I feel like I've known you for several years. I think we met during Yona Weiss's, I think my first LinkedIn challenge with him a
Right,
year ago.
exactly.
But yeah, the past year has been incredible. Closed a few deals, grown the business, served more residents, taking care of them, and investors as well. How about
Hmm.
you?
Well, yeah, it's my year has been. I think a lot of people are going to end up comparing their first years based off of my 2022. So because like I think you found like some of the gravity that I seem to have with this course with everything that I'm up to here. But in these not a chance encounter interviews, I go through the exact same questions, but I at least know that because I've already done this interview format with my guest, I know where we can go a little bit deeper and see what's the unique offering here. So the first thing is, Amy, is there anything you want to mention as far as introducing yourself in a super brief version? Anything else?
Sure, yeah. Amy Sylvis out of Los Angeles. I connect investors with amazing passive investing opportunities. And yeah, that's my brief intro. We can get into more of it later.
Exactly. We get very granular, especially in the five distinct motivations. But before that, but wait, check your eight, Amy. I don't know if you can see through the camera and into the audience's devices and down a little bit. It's the audience's five. There might be a big, really gross red button that says subscribe on it, but it might be the really cool gray one. Can you make that? Okay, no, that's just a stupid joke that I like to do. But the five distinct motivations that I've found really show me what an investor is all about. These are the five of them. The first one, preservation of purchasing power. And of course, that has to do with if you already have a nest egg, a portfolio of properties, then if you're living off of these proceeds to make ends meet, then the only reason you're going to be making another acquisition is if inflation rears its ugly head, or if there's some asset crashes that make it a really good plan. So that's the first reason that's not really mine. My one is I'm trading time directly for wealth. The issue is that me coming from tech, it's a high wage, high salary type of position, but that means I'm also paying more tax than anybody else. So it hit me as like, how do I pivot and then get rewarded with deployed equity? That's what I'm up to. But some people are looking to really gain control of their schedule. Maybe that means that fast track their retirement, or maybe it just means that they want to work fewer months per year or something like that. Some people, excuse me, are just plain ambitious, and that's what they're really doing is they just want to buy their entire hometown, and others are just helping people who need it or something like that, and you need to have a really substantial financial backing to pull that off. So of those five, Amy, what combination of those really describes you best?
I love to help people. That is a huge motivation for me, given a bit of my background and being on the receiving end of many people helping me for decades. I'm also very interested in not having to trade my time for money. So I think you said trade, time for wealth, if you will. I don't need to have, a massive McMansion, if you will, and tons of fancy cars. I love the time freedom. I want to be able to hang out with family, travel, give back to charity with my time, all those things without having to check with an employer or beg for more than 2 weeks of vacation. So those are both my motivations.
I love it. I love it. And my next question, this is a new one since the last time you did it. It's because I wasn't very satisfied with the standard, SEC, like securities attorney questionnaire, its tolerance for risk assessment. So I made a kind of more fun version on here, and sometimes I actually feed people answers, but I know you'll be able to give a great one. It's a fill in the blank question. Give this a try. There,
Okay.
there are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. Okay, that can be in real estate or outside, whatever you think. What's too risky for you, Amy?
Crypto for me is too risky.
Hmm.
Maybe some people gnashing their teeth and yelling at the podcast, but yeah, I'm a little too conservative for that. I'll be honest.
Right, exactly. And that's the reason why I go through that question is because, some people they come to commercial real estate and they say, "Oh, there's all this money floating around." So, it's great times for everybody, but you have to realize that it's complex and people are bringing their A game. So, that's really great stuff. And the next segment that I always go through in these chance encounters, it's especially important if you're new to commercial real estate. It's the Dan Does Deals commercial competency cube. Don't try to say that too quickly, you might hurt yourself. But the six different sized of the roll, or sorry, of this die here, of this cube, they're important to understand because if you get all of these, then you can effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate. And if you go to dandoesdeals.com, you can print out your own copy, show your friends and family, and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to do a much faster version of this with Amy because this is not a chance encounter. So the repositioner is an acquisitions person. Okay, the word repositioner, it comes out of, most people say the word investor. Okay, but repositioner is more specific because it means that you're actually thinking of how to change the property and how it's run, and different features and amenities that they have, things like that. And that's how you're looking for your upside. Now, one thing that a repositioner can do to find upside is they can get more advantageous lending, okay, which is to have a network of financiers or just passive investors, things like that. So financiers specifically are people who deal with paper and money. They do not swing hammers. They like nothing like that at all. Okay, so if you have the better lending, then the repositioner has upside, and the business is automatically making more money. So that's a great industry to be in. But the first part that you also have to be involved in if you're going to be a GP, is you need to have some sort of operations role that could be just asset management, as far as making sure that the third party operators are actually doing their job. So you've got some oversight involved there, and figuring
Mhm.
out programs you can have. But if that's probably not going to provide too much upside after everything's said and done. So often there's a contractor team involved to make the place nicer so that they can charge more in rent. You also need your local to make sure that things don't go haywire.
Yeah.
And if they do, then somebody's there to fix it quickly. But the only other piece that I find a lot of coaching programs, they really gloss over it, is that the sponsor KP role is very important if you're going to be understanding the different teams. Okay, so if you have a bunch of pals and you pull up your resources and say, hey, let's take over an apartment complex, the thing that you might run into that's a problem is, to be eligible for a commercial loan, you need somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. Okay. On top of that, you need a certain amount of liquidity, and you need a balance sheet among the different owners of at least the amount of the loan. You put it all together, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Amy, you have to underwrite everything that you're involved in. So that's a repositioner role.
Yeah.
As far as the investor relations part, that makes you a financier. And then as far as asset management, that makes operations. Is that a good picture of that? Like what would you say are your core competencies that you're contributing?
Yes, you're spot on. Sourcing deals and being a repositioner, that's exactly right. I love the hunt. to find deals. I love the broker relationships and doing the market research. So it's all wrapped into being in that capacity. Investor relations is incredible. The financier aspect, as you mentioned, being able to help people achieve their goals, especially those folks out here in crazy California where we don't find a lot of deals that cash flow or make sense out here. So helping folks deploy their capital out there. And then, yes, the asset management part, so rewarding, so much fun. Takes a lot of work, but better me than my passive investors. So all they have to do is just collect a check.
Beautiful, great stuff. So the next section that we always go through is the buy box or the ideal property, and you can fill in the blanks once I've gone through how we explain the buy box in general. But what we're really asking about, there's three different parts. The first one is geography, so it's like which states, all right, which counties, okay, possibly even which neighborhood, okay, that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be very important as far as people's sweet spots go. The second thing is going to be the size of the deal. And if you're talking about multifamily, or if you're talking about self-storage or mobile home parks or things like that, you're going to have some form of unit count deciding the size. Okay, so slabs, something like that. But if you're talking about industrial or warehousing, things like that, then it's going to be in square footage. But the size, you're going to have different size teams, different types of teams taking over different sizes. So that's very important. But the third one's going to be class, especially in multifamily anyway. So with class, they have two different meanings of it. The first one, that drives me crazy. So, but the first one, the first meaning of class, it has to do with the condition of the building. So is it really, really old, or is it just beat up? Or is it, like up to date, but like nothing really special? Or is it, really lavish with all the amenities and all that kind of fun stuff? Whereas the other meaning of class is also sometimes called area, and that's better. But really, it's talking about what about the crime rate in that area, or what about the school districts? Like, is it the kind of place that you really, really want to be in? And both of those two meanings of class, they assign it a grade just like in grade school. So it's like A plus, A minus, B plus, and so on. So, Amy, what do you look at? What do you say is your buy box? And I guess primarily, I mean, like, if there's a seller in the audience looking for somebody who can really knock it out of the park, what would you say is ideal for you?
So we are primarily in the Southeast and the Midwest, continuing to grow in the Midwest as well. Texas as well. I know Texas doesn't like to be called Southeast or whatever, so I'll give them their own shout out. They like to be special. Fair enough, they've earned that. So that area of the country is our favorite. 100 plus units in terms of multifamily, really where we can get those economies of scale to really make the investment sing. And then Class B assets in Class A or B areas are our ideal sweet spot there in terms of type of property and location.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then the next question has to do with people. And my favorite thing about commercial real estate is that because everybody is primarily one face of the die, nobody's going to be all of them for any real meaningful amount of time.
Exactly.
But we're going to have our own unique skill sets, and that's going to make us really better suited to help some people more than others. Me personally, because of my marketing background, my automation, and all that kind of fun stuff, the sponsor KPs, those are the ones who I've always been out looking for. But Amy, I don't know if you have any 506B raises. I think you're sticking to 506Cs these days. But if you do have a B, don't be enticing investors. Like, don't be waving donuts at the
No,
camera or something like that, or even just delicious pastries or anything like that, because that's very enticing. Maybe
I'm a
M&M.
diabetic. Don't worry, I won't.
Oh, right. Okay. So no sort. Yeah, we'll have to figure out something vegan or something. Don't wave a glass of milk.
There you go.
Okay, but but yeah. So but who are you best suited to help? A lot of people say beginners if they really mean people who really mean like want to keep some other gig going on and they're investing. But who would you describe in a nutshell?
Yeah, if I'm understanding the question correctly, let me know if I'm going down the wrong path there. But from an investor relations standpoint, definitely eager to help investors as well as those KPs and sponsors. From a deal finding standpoint, same thing. And same thing with asset management. So KP sponsors as well as those investors.
Great. Okay. So they're all great to reach out to you. And then as far as the best way, like both of us are just totally over the top, lot like active on LinkedIn. So that's a fantastic way to find both of us. Like both of us have pretty distinctive names, so we're easy to find on there. As far as what I got on the screen here, this QR code, that's for the FAQ page of 506 BME, and these days, it's the end of 2022. That's where I have an offer to help you with your compliance, basically be your chief compliance officer for as little as $497 a year. But Amy, is LinkedIn the best way to reach out to you, or is there a website that's better, or something like that? How should
Yes,
people do it?
I would say both LinkedIn and also sylviscapital.com. Like Dan mentioned, my last name's spelled a little in a unique way. So hopefully he puts a link in the comments, but you can learn about me there as well as LinkedIn.
All right, beautiful. And so then the last thing, it's actually not for you, Amy. It's my PSA that I like to put at the end of all of these episodes, which is if you have been watching this episode and have been noticing like you have piercing pains and like migraine like symptoms, it's probably because there's like a wretchedly awful, I mean like hideous red button under my hands right here. And if you just click, it's free. You can click the button, that awful red button, and it goes away. It goes gray. Okay. And then you don't have the, okay. So you should totally hit it. And I really want you to do it because it means that YouTube might start paying for these videos instead of me. And that'd be amazing. And even if you really aren't that fond of me, all it really means is that my videos will show up on your list of suggestions. You can go ahead and ignore those. That's perfectly fine. I just appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me, just like Amy. I appreciate you joining me again. It's great talking to you and getting another chance to do some recording.
You're awesome, Dan. Thank you so much for everything you do for our community. And this was such a great podcast.
Awesome. Thanks. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506B me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.